Very lovely it is. You'll have just seen Joss Whedon, who was terrific, I thought.
Very
And
good.
You could talk to him for hours and hours because he has so much to say about so many. He'd love to talk about the television and the relationship between, all the great writings going on in television and all that. But by the time you've done Shakespeare, Avengers, a couple of listeners' questions, and that's it, he's gone.
Well, also there is that thing that we said before on the show when Serenity, that he is one of the good guys. He is one of the people who treats fan culture with respect. And actually, one of the interesting things about Much Ado is that you were talking about. He's done it in the break between they've finished doing this huge, great big Avengers movie, and there's 2 weeks, and they do. Sometimes a director would do that. When I referred to it as a palate cleanser, which I didn't mean incidentally as a put down. There is that idea that
I don't think you like that description particularly.
Palate cleanser, it's going on the poster.
I was thinking it's almost like an antidote. It is sort of the opposite of what he'd been doing with Avengers.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. But one of the things that seems to be implicit in that statement is the idea that somehow the stuff over here, the great big Hollywood blockbuster Avengers movie, is something that needs to be, it's almost like giving it a sort of dirty sheen. This is the honest, because as he said himself, I've done a blockbuster, now I'll do some art. I think the thing that's most interesting about him as a filmmaker is that he doesn't have any of that. He's somebody who seems to be working in making blockbusters, and this is why I think we reviewed that film so well. Gave it such a good review, as opposed to did such a good job of reviewing it. I hasten to point it. Thank you very much. Yes, is that. It's lovely to see a great big franchise Hollywood blockbuster movie made by somebody who cares about the characters, cares about the I hate to use the word franchise, actually cares about it as a film. So in a way, the sort of the dichotomy of saying, on the one hand, this is a great big colour, spectacular Hollywood blockbuster, and this is a small little, black and white movie. It's not that one is making amends for the other. They actually do fit together rather nicely. What I like about Much Ado is it's a very easy watch. And again, I don't mean that as a criticism. Again, I was trying to ask in that updating has an ease to it. I'm sure that a lot of hard work went into making it look that easy, but it is a very easy watch. I mean, one of the things that it manages to do is firstly make all the dialogue and the language is completely comprehensible. I mean, sometimes you see versions of Shakespeare using the Shakespearean dialogue, and it is a little confusing, but this is completely clear. I think any audience at all, I don't know what certificate the film is, probably
It's 12.
12. Any 12-year-old could follow everything that was going on. They used all.
Yeah, I think it does take, which is fairly standard for me anyway. It takes about 5-10 minutes before you get into that rhythm and you start to listen to the way it was written.
Yeah.
And I think maybe all the more so because it's being spoken in Californian. But I think one of the engaging things, one of the reasons why it works is, in fact, there was a quote from Clark Gregg, who's Agent Coulson in the Avengers, and he's in this. There's a great part in it. He talked about how there is a Shakespearean mafia, that we are the people that do Shakespeare and not you. Yeah. And he was halfway through a speech, he was expecting someone to say, "Sorry, you're the wrong guy. Yeah. You don't do Shakespeare." And there is that kind of feeling, but I think that's one of the reasons why it's so engaging.
Yeah, although you also cast your mind back to to Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, which obviously is in the background of Gatsby, and and was an extreme. I mean, Baz Luhrmann tells this story about going into the studio, and he was it was several hours into the discussions with him about how he's going to do it before they said, "What you're going to use the original dialogue." Because they just didn't believe it was possible to do it in a way that would actually make any sense to a young one. So I think it makes sense to its audience. I think that the comedy is funny, and I don't say that lightly because I don't find a lot of Shakespearean comedy funny, but I did love. Did you with all the Nathan Fillion stuff? It is funny. And finally, I think in terms of the way in which it deals with that gender politics issue is really well done, to the point that when we finally get to that speech that he was talking about, you do think, I understand exactly that speech, because we have seen the world existing in that way up until that point. It's a very hard trick to pull off, and he did it in 2 weeks.
He says, by the way,
it's so annoying.
He was brought up by a hardcore feminist, and I think you can probably tell that. He wouldn't have done that Alice Eve scene. That's basically the difference.